So, Mr.
Yeah.
President, we saw you dancing immediately after the election, after the defeat of the BDP, a party that um, you grew up in. Some people will say in Africa, your navel was buried in the party. Um, but what made you so happy after the results were announced?
I must correct something. That clip that was going around showing me dancing was not after the current election. It was after a by-election, I think it was last year, that
Okay.
the opposition had won against the same ruling party then. So I think they probably expected me to do something similar this time. So someone decided just to go into their archives and pull that one out and put it out as if it was happening at this time, but it wasn't actually this time. But the joy that I felt then when I was dancing is the same as I felt now that we had managed to get rid of a tyrant who had been taking our country down the wrong path.
But let me ask you this, Mr. President. How did this go wrong for the BDP, the party that you led, the party that you grew up in, the party that, as they say in Africa, your navel is buried in?
I think it's embedded in what I would probably say sometimes in human nature. When you're somewhere too long, you become complacent. You take things for granted. You think that now people owe you instead of the fact that you owe them. It is, I've never heard of such a huge loss in parliamentary seats by any party anywhere as what happened in Botswana last week.
But, Mr. President, some people are blaming you. Your critics are saying you literally handpicked your successor. He was your vice president for 80 years, and you gave them, in spite of pieces of advice that, they are equally qualified people that you could choose from. You weren't ahead with him, so they blame you for the
Yes.
challenges that they experience.
Yeah, I think he was my vice president for 3.5 years, and I totally accept the blame. That is why I have consistently and regularly admitted to the nation publicly that I made a mistake. I apologize to them for having brought this upon the nation, and that it is my responsibility to ensure that I fix my mistake by ensuring that he is removed from office. And that's what I've been doing the last 6 weeks.
So, Mr. President, what are your expectations of the current president, newly installed president Duma Boko? Because he said he dares not fail the people of Botswana.
Of course, and I'm sure he means it, because especially coming from this recent era where the people of Botswana were failed, I'm sure that's very much uppermost in his mind that the expectations on him and his party, his government, are going to be extremely high, and it's at a time when the economy has been run down, and people would obviously expect that all the manifesto promises that were in there should be delivered like yesterday. But it doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. They've got to be able to do an audit of the situation, the financial situation of the country, the process, the policies, the programs which are in place, put their own ones, forward to the nation and take it from there. But he is very determined to do that, and all we can do is wish him every success and hope that he doesn't get distracted by anything else.
Now, with your experience, will you engage him, give him pieces of advice, help him out about how to tackle some of the issues that are ahead of him as he takes office?
I don't think it would be appropriate for me to keep going to him to offer my advice. He is his own man, he has his own advisors, he has his own vision, and he must be allowed to do that. I don't want to try and impose myself on him in any way. Of course, if I'm asked, from time to time, uh, what about this? What should we do here? How did you do this? I will, of course, willingly offer my advice.
Mr. President, before you go, what is your message to the people of Botswana following this election and the incoming government or the new government?
My message to people in Botswana is that they've got every right to be joyful and to celebrate. But at the same time, we must take a lesson from what has happened.